What's up, folks? It's your buddy Fatalroadie. Today we're going to be doing part 2 of my wrestling pet peeves video. If you haven't already, check out part 1. I'll leave a link to part 1 down in the description, and I'll probably have it on one of my cards to link onto. So check that out so you catch the other half. Getting back into part 2 of my pet peeves in wrestling. The first one I'm going to bring up, I've mentioned before, and I'll get a little more into it. Can we stop 50-50 booking matches? It's like, I'll just take Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, just to use 2 wrestlers. One week, Roman Reigns wins. The next week, they do another match, and then Seth Rollins wins. And then the next week, it's back to Roman Reigns. And then the following week, it's Seth Rollins. If you look at any of this as a win-loss record, you're not... win-loss record is basically, we just have... It's a big 0. Because, you won this one, you lost that one. You won this one, you lost that one. That's 2 and 2. And anyone who does basic math, that's basically a 0. There's an issue going on with JBL. Apparently, there was another announcer. His name was Mauro Ranallo. Hopefully, I didn't butcher his name too bad. He was on SmackDown, and the story is supposed to be that he was bullied by JBL. Whether or not that happened or not, I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't prove it. And every once in a while, you hear crowds yelling, "Fire Bradshaw," and a couple other YouTube outlets will automatically put it as a negative. They'll call it out. JBL still employed by the WWE, so thumbs down. If they were going to fire him over this issue, they would have removed him by now. It's now going into 2 months at least, I want to say. I'm going to guess. They put JBL as a host on this other show on the WWE network, and that might be because if they take him off of regular air, they'll put, I guess they're going to leave him on that show. But still, it's been 2 months. If they were going to do that, they would have already done it. Yeah, okay, bullying sucks. I know. I've been the victim of it myself when I was younger. I got over it. It's dumb. If they were going to fire him, they would have done so already. If they were going to move him, they would have done so already. There's nothing that all of us screaming "Fire Bradshaw" is going to do to change anything. They're still getting viewership, with everybody watching. They're still getting money from everybody watching. I don't see that going to really change unless everybody at one time stops watching and they go from 2.8 million views on SmackDown to 500,000 views for a couple weeks. I don't think that's going to change. And I don't really see 1.3 million people stopping watching a show just for that reason. I don't see people doing it. And this one here is another thing I've brought up. If you've watched my SmackDown and Raw reviews, you've heard this many a times. Can we mix up the matches, please? I am tired of seeing the same 2 or 4 people, whether singles matches or tag matches, and the occasional rare triple threat match of the same people. This in different combinations. It's like, for this pay-per-view, it's Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt, Samoa Joe, and Finn Balor. We saw Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt and Samoa Joe a couple weeks ago. And then we'll have a triple threat match with Finn Balor, Bray Wyatt, and Samoa Joe. And then in another match, we're going to have Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. And I'm pretty sure the next week, we're probably going to have Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins, and then a triple threat match with Samoa Joe, Bray Wyatt, and Roman Reigns. And we're just going to mix up the same 5 people all the way leading up to the pay-per-view. We're gonna see this at the pay-per-view. Why are we watching different combinations of the same 5 fucking people for 4 weeks? Put them in other matches with other people. I'm tired of seeing the same people over and over. It's like 205 Live. Only thing you're seeing is Neville versus Austin Aries, or TJ Perkins versus Jack Gallagher, or some mix up between those 4 people. It's like we only have 4 people in 205 Live. Well, actually, the other week they did have Tony Nese and a couple other people. So they mix them up a very, very, very little. But every week seeing the same people over and over again, it gets boring. And the past couple weeks, Raw at least, their ratings have been slowly getting lower and lower. And I can almost understand why. Because you're seeing the same people over and over again. Hell, put Finn Balor against Big Show. Put Roman Reigns against the Big Show. Put anybody against the Big Show. Put Anderson versus Samoa Joe, or Gallows versus Samoa Joe. I know they're heels, but still, mix it up. It's almost like the old saying, variety is the spice of life. Hate to bring such an old statement into this, but it's true. Mix the goddamn roster up. Have a luck of the draw, I guess you want to say, like, a barrel with everybody's name. One person picks one card out, another person picks a card out, and those 2 people fight those people, and just keep going until we have a full show. The more diverse your matches are, the more interesting it'll be. Regardless if they have a storyline against each other, it's different. It's not the same people that we're watching. It's like if I came on here every week to do a video and said the exact same thing over and over again, none of you all will watch it. If Markiplier did the same video over and over and over again, no one would start watching him. Anybody. If all you hear is the same shit over and over again, you'll stop watching. And that's why I do wrestling, I do other rant videos, I do to keep things different, to keep, so it's like, oh, well, he's going to talk about Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman again. Granted, being that WWE is doing that, I'm going to have to keep talking about Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. I mean, I like it, and I'll try to keep that as brief as possible, but I wouldn't have to if they would mix the matches up. Simple. Triple threat matches. As far as I know, unless anybody's ever said anything different in these matches, have been no disqualification matches. And nobody, not even the heels, take advantage of this. It's a no DQ match. Fucking run out of the ring, grab a chair, and start wailing on people. Or go under the mat, grab, because there's always a kendo stick hidden somewhere, and start wailing on somebody. Grab a table and throw somebody in it. If it's no DQ, take advantage of that shit. 1, it'd make the match interesting. 2, it fully takes, advantage of the no DQ, clause in that match. It's like, oh, well, it's 3 men in a match, but everybody's going to play it straight. Why have a triple threat match? And this whole family-friendly thing that the WWE is going with. Back in the 90s, they had the Attitude Era, and in the early 2000s, they had the Ruthless Aggression Era. And some of those matches were, I would probably say, some of the best matches I have ever seen in wrestling. Even going further back into the 80s when I started watching wrestling. Those were some of the best matches I've seen. But they're, now they're going into this PG era. No blood, no... We're not going to be doing any of the stuff we did back in the 90s when viewership was through the fucking roof. But we're going to be family friendly, watching 2 people beat the shit out of each other. Isn't that kind of contradicting itself? It's like we're going to have a non-violent war. 2 armies are just going to stand there and look at each other. Doesn't that kind of take the war part out of it? Crawling to your partner or hot tag. It's been done. It's old. It's stupid. It's, one person gets the shit pummeled out of him and he's crawling and trying to get to his partner and just getting right to where he could tag, and then the other guy grabs him and yanks him off. And okay, we haven't seen this 1.5 million times. Or, the guy goes rushing over, and it's usually the face that does this, dives and just whack, gets the tag just by the skin of his ass. Done. We've seen it. and that's almost not very recent, but in the past, I would say since 2010 at least, I've noticed it more and more. But it's happened before, but it's almost become a staple of tag team matches. It's almost why I don't like watching tag teams anymore, because it's like, okay, this person here is going to get the shit whipped out of him. He's going to try to make a tag, fail. Try to make a tag, fail. He's going to get worked on in the opponent's corner for half the match. Then he's going to jump up, make the hot tag, and then the other guy's going to come out, beat the shit out of everybody, while the other guy's like laid out on the apron outside the ring. And it's almost like two teams in particular, Enzo and Cass, and Heath Slater and Rhino. The running joke about Heath Slater is his finishing move is called Rhino. It's like Heath Slater gets the shit whipped out of him, he tags Rhino in, and then ends the match, because Rhino does the finisher. And I know the new thing to call everybody is the WWE Universe. They're fans. They've always been fans. Knock the guy out over the barricade into the crowd. I don't say, oh, they knocked him over into the WWE Universe. Was it Byron Saxton and Michael Cole? Was basically Byron Saxton is the SmackDown version of Michael Cole. Byron Saxton is he doesn't say vintage like Michael Cole does. Just call them fans. Call them crowd. The WWE Universe has burned itself out just like the hot tag did. 20-minute intros. This is another thing that's gotten old, especially for like SmackDown, because it's only 2 hours. You get somebody coming out to the ring on the microphone and talking. Usually they're talking about whatever the feud is that they're in, or whatever they're going to be doing in the next pay-per-view. The biggest offender of this was Stephanie McMahon. Almost every opening in Raw, she's standing there in the middle of the ring and she's just talking. If you're going to be doing that, keep it short. Especially on Raw, you have 3 hours. You know, you could be using that time that you're sitting there jacking your jaw on the microphone and actually have at least 2 matches. That would probably help your show out a lot more. You know, usually and SmackDown's been doing better in the ratings than Raw has, and they only have 2 hours. And almost some of the times they don't even do the big 20-minute monologue out at the ring. They may have 5 or 10 minutes, but still, I mean, if you take that time and put it into a match, that's something else you can be doing. And finally, people losing matches because somebody's music hits and they get distracted. Are you stupid? It's not going to take 3 seconds for them to come from back when their music hits, come from backstage and run to the ring. Because it's always music hits, they get distracted, they're looking up at the ramp, and their opponent gets a roll up and then pins them, and then they're pissed. I would be pissed too, because your stupid ass just got fucking fooled. You got the guy laid out on the ground, their music hits. Granted, okay, glance up real quick, no one's coming. Drop down, pin the motherfucker. 1, 2, 3. You still have enough time to stand up and face whoever's going, and then never do, but you have enough time to stand up and face the guy that's supposed to be coming down to beat your ass up, that you're going to have a pay-per-view with later on in the month. No, I just got a guy down to the ground. Triple H's music hits. I'm turning around going, oh, here he comes. And then the other guy rolls me up and pins me for the win. You're stupid. You deserve to lose. And then they get pissed. Well, that's part 2 of my wrestling pet peeves. Like I said, I'll put part 1 down in the description so you can check that out. I hope you liked it. Leave a comment down below on what's annoyed you in wrestling over the years. Give me a thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. I've been Fatalroadie. Y'all have been awesome. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, if it's too loud, you're too old. See ya.